All right. Hey, hey, welcome back. All right, Geminis, let's take a look. We are going to go into the temple. And the temple to me is like the innermost self. We have the truth. We're going to get one more card because we just had this come out for Scorpio, I think. And it says, the best and shortest road toward knowledge of truth is nature. So, getting to know oneself really well. And then we have lifetime. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. Well, I would say that this is a very wonderful space of gratitude that our Gemini might be in right now, wherever they're at in life. And my impression is that somebody who has this kind of gratitude and this kind of understanding of their life has probably had significant setbacks. I'm hearing that song, I've looked at life from both sides now. I really don't know life at all. There's like an element of, man, I have been through the ringer, and then, I've been soaring high, and then I've been down to the bottom of the barrel, and then I've, clawed my way back up into some semblance of like structure and organization again. And, I've been through it all. And sometimes I think what happens when a character has been through enough tough things in life, they know how to really appreciate the good times. We've got this Eight of Cups that is sideways. This is a pretty fearless Gemini. This is somebody who could, at any moment, they could choose to go right or left. They could choose to go forward or back. We have the Tower. This is somebody who's in the midst of letting go of any ego and just fully embracing whatever wild ride is going on in their life at the moment. Oh, that's a song that is trying to bust into my head right now. For a wild ride. I think it's Troy Yoakum, Wild Ride. I haven't heard that song in years. We've got the Three of Pentacles sideways. Okay, so there is a changing scenario. This could be a change in partnership, a change in job, a change in living situation, a change in all of it. It looks like in the moment, Gemini's life is in a state of upheaval. They know that anytime the universe takes one thing away from them, the universe brings something else in its place. If let's give a scenario, because this looks like a house. Let's say a living situation is no longer possible. Let's say it's because Gemini is breaking up with somebody. They're also going to be moving. Maybe they're going to move back home. Maybe they're going to move back to some previous arrangement. And they're like, but what I know is that we rearrange structures in our life, and every situation brings with it its own trials, tribulations, and also, triumphs. And so I think Gemini is just like, hey, here's the thing. Nobody promised me life was going to be consistent and stable and steady. I knew life was going to be full of transformations, changes, upheavals, but I'm still grateful for all of it, and I trust in the process. Something is getting rearranged in Gemini's life at the moment, and they're already just accepting of it. Three of Cups sideways. They're going to land on their feet. They're actually kind of excited about this change. This is a Gemini who's excited about the changes because they know, look, the reason for change, the universe wouldn't do this to me unless there's a reason for it. We keep getting a lot of sideways cards. We've got that Queen of Cups sideways. There is a desire, a need, an intention to still go back and find what we love in life and fully embrace it. Page of Cups. This really feels like a new beginning. As much as Gemini might have been saying, look, there were a bunch of things that I really liked about the situation I was in. I liked this part of my job, but then there were some things about the job that weren't perfect. And so if I'm losing my job, you know what? Maybe this is the universe's way of pushing me toward another hope, wish, or dream or goal that I also have had. This is not a Gemini who hangs all of their thoughts or their hats on just one thing in life. This is not a one-trick pony. This is a Gemini who has many different skills. They know that there's many different fish in the sea, or in this case, dolphins in the sea, many different lovers that they could love. I'm not saying that it's, easy come, easy go, whatever, I'm with somebody and then whatever, we dump each other and we just move on and don't even, there's no real emotional bond. I don't mean it to be so flippant as that, But I will say that Gemini is not tragically heartbroken over any of this disruption in their life. And whatever new arrangement they're making, I think that they're as okay with the new arrangements as they are with the situation that is ending. So again, sometimes we get downsized or we lose a job and we're like, that's kind of okay. I'm kind of all right with making change. I was kind of already thinking about it myself. Or a relationship that ends and it's like, you know what, it kind of fizzled for me too. I'm not really that keen on clinging to it. I'm okay with this change. I'm kind of excited to meet somebody else. Now, admittedly, I'm not saying Gemini was out like scoping out their next, lover before they were done with the previous one, but I am going to say Gemini might already have somebody on their mind, or somebody's already been keeping their eyes a little slyly on Gemini. There is some kind of underlying, like somebody's already hoping that Gemini is going to be single, going to be available. This could be another business. This could be somebody who's like, God, I hope I can hire that Gemini. I've been wishing that they'd be, come over to my company or something. We have this Four of Cups sideways. It's weird because I feel like, let's just commit to the storyline that I think we're really driving toward. I believe there is somebody possibly with a, like chin strap beard, or, maybe they have dark hair. Somebody has been wishing Gemini would be available. Now, at the same time, they didn't wish for Gemini to have, any tragic breakup or anything. And there is this element of like, should I say, oh, I'm so sorry that, what do you mean, Gemini, you're not with so-and-so? What do you mean you moved out last night? I'm so sorry. But at the same time, they're kind of like, but I'm not that sorry. It feels like there's this mixed bag, just like Gemini has a mixed bag. Yeah, it's disappointing when something ends, especially if it ended abruptly. But on the other hand, I know that there's another pathway for me. So I'm dancing around it, but let me just say it more bluntly, even though this is not blunt. This is all handled very delicately and very respectfully. But deep down, I think Gemini already knows that either they would like to explore this connection with this person, this new person, or this new person would like to explore a connection with Gemini. Now this new person seems to be saying, oh, I'm sorry to hear about that, but they're not really sorry. They're only sorry if Gemini is upset over it. Queen of Swords in the reverse. If anything, I hope Gemini's not guilting themselves and saying, oh my God, I feel so terrible that I could be thinking happily of dating again so soon, or I could be excited about the fact that I just regained my freedom. Look, the Tower, the reason I love the Tower card is because I see it as freedom. When the Tower comes in, yes, it is a collapse of something. And a collapse of something, we can either fear it because it's like, oh my God, but there's change and there's disruption and even destruction. But then the Tower card frees us from something that was confining us. And in this case, it was confining two people, Gemini and another person. And so an ending here really should be celebrated on that particular card in particular. But if Gemini's been feeling like, kind of feel like an ogre, I can't believe I'm celebrating this, can't believe I've already like kind of wanting to flirt with somebody else, we've got the Six of Wands and we got the Two of Swords. I do see Gemini judging themselves like, is it bad that I'm not more sad about this? Is it, am I a terrible person? Should I like give a certain amount of time before I start dating somebody else? But on the other hand, Gemini's like, but I feel so happy. I feel so alive. I mean, change is inevitable. I kind of go with the obvious and necessary changes in life. And I don't look at it as something to be, grieving so much. I think Gemini is very matter of fact. And I think that the situation that has ended for them, they might stay friends with whoever this is. They might be able to stay, in touch with an ex, but I do think Gemini is going to move on that fast. I think that they're already secretly wanting to connect with some new person, and that new person is wanting to connect with them. I mean, that's what we see in these cards in this storyline. Let me go to, let's go to this deck. Tell me who that Page of Cups person is. This is somebody who has not been trying to like get into Gemini's world and, mess things up for them, or they are. a King of Pentacles. They are somebody who's probably been patient. This could be somebody Gemini works with. This could be a boss. This could be somebody who's quite grounded. This could be somebody who, they own their own home. They have their life quite organized, and they clearly could see, they could read that Gemini wasn't too sure about where they were at. Gemini was sitting on the fence, possibly with a Capricorn, but Gemini wasn't entirely sure about what was going to happen. And I feel like this King of Pentacles was astute enough to recognize Gemini is not really feeling it. Wherever Gemini is, it's not really working for them. I'm not saying that he sat there like, when will Gemini be available so I can swoop in and snag them? But I think the writing was on the wall, even to a casual outside observer's eyes. Now, granted, maybe it was wishful thinking on their part. Maybe they were hoping Gemini was not too sure that they were going to stay in a connection. But they look like somebody who has waited. Is that Mr. Big? Just to be the next to be with you. I'm the one who wants to be with you deep inside. I know you feel it too. Waited on a lineup just to be the next to be with you. We got a King of Cups. We got the Queen of Wands. They see this as, come on, we could be a power couple. I've been stable. I've been waiting. I've been patient. And I've been hoping at some point Gemini would be single so that then maybe I could emotionally mention that, hey, I've been interested. I do feel like Gemini could be younger than this person. They may want to provide quite a bit for Gemini. They may want to offer their emotions. They may, I don't know, there is an age discrepancy here. They think that Gemini is very, very, very hot, but they have been patiently and respectfully waiting. And if they are trying to act the role of friend, I don't know, this could be a neighbor, and they're trying to, just, hey, I haven't seen you around lately, haven't seen your significant other. And Gemini might be like, well, actually we broke up. In fact, they moved out. I'll probably gonna have to move out soon. I'm almost feeling like this person might want to offer a place to live, might want to, are you okay financially? They may be someone who wants to really step in and offer emotional support, definitely emotional support, if nothing else. But they have been waiting. This is not somebody who doesn't have some background knowledge of Gemini, because they've seen the whole thing play out. They have hoped that they would get a chance at some point, whomever this is. But again, they've been single for a while. I keep getting a distinct vibe that they are an older individual, masculine, and they have a lot of respect for Gemini, but they picture we could be such an amazing power couple. Yes, I do think that they are captivated by Gemini's attractiveness. This is our most attractive queen, but they feel like, I'm not saying that Gemini was okay with breaking up with somebody else because, hey, there's this other more affluent, more wealthy person who, has their eyes on me and I'd like to jump ship and be with them. I don't think it's like that. But if we go back, we remember Gemini themselves already came out as a Queen of Cups sideways, knowing that there are other options and maybe other lifestyles and other relationships they could see themselves really finding emotionally fulfilling. Gemini is the twins, right? So I could understand that Gemini could love or have attraction for two vastly different people in their life that could both be incredibly satisfying relationships for them. But at this point, this really feels like Gemini is about to embark on a new relationship, but it might come up really, really fast because this is somebody who's been waiting for their chance to approach Gemini. And I do think they've been single for a long time. They may be way more into Gemini than Gemini is into them. But that might simply be because Gemini's fresh out of another connection, freshly having some changes in their life. And this is something I think Gemini wants to explore, is what I would say. And we go back to that card. We're going to end with that one more time because it says, when you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. And I do kind of feel like if that's the mantra for Gemini, they may allow themselves to okay, maybe I am fresh out of another relationship, but this other wonderful person is there for me, is interested in me, is talking to me, has been patiently waiting for me to be single. I want to explore this with them. They seem great. I'm alive, they're alive. Why can't we explore love? I don't think Gemini is like saying, oh, that other person had no value to me. I just think that when something is over, Gemini doesn't really linger around in an empty room anymore. They allow themselves to continue living and loving and marching into the next connection if that's what they want to explore next. This person, they could be a water sign. They could specifically be a Virgo, though, as well, or any earth sign. But they see a lot of respectful energy and a lot of things that they like about Gemini, but they also certainly see Gemini's attractiveness. So they are very drawn in by, Gemini's physical beauty. Gemini might look really great in the color red. They may have very like dramatic coloring, or like they can wear really bold colors, and that could be another thing that's just very, very alluring. All right, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Bye.